Yesterday, the United States Supreme Court announced that Donald Trump's election challenge lawsuits, the 3 remaining lawsuits, would not be heard. In fact, they outright rejected them without even giving any kind of written explanation. They just said no. We're not doing this. And those were the last of Donald Trump's election challenges, 3 regarding about 20,000 absentee ballots in the state of Wisconsin. They said no. It is over. So here we are, into the second week of March now, and the 2020 presidential election technically has now finally ended. That's how long it took. Because of Donald Trump's whininess. A couple weeks ago, the court had also rejected to hear 2 challenges from Trump, one again in Wisconsin and one in Pennsylvania. Those were also tossed. The 3 this week were tossed. There are no more remaining lawsuits. Trump has no recourse whatsoever. So yes, folks, the 2020 election is over. For the love of God, can we all move on? And the answer for most of us is yes. Most of us moved on months ago. Trump has not. And to be honest, Donald Trump never will. Donald Trump will never move on past the 2020 presidential election. And to be honest, I even predicted this prior to that election taking place. For the rest of his days, anytime this man speaks publicly, he is going to talk about that loss. And of course, he is going to always claim that the loss wasn't real, that it was somehow stolen from him, that in spite of the fact that there were dozens and dozens and dozens of lawsuits, dozens of recounts in counties and states all across this country where nobody could prove any kind of fraud at all, save for a handful of Trump voters like the guy in Pennsylvania who tried to register 2 dead women to vote for Donald Trump. That's about all we got. No widespread fraud. No fraudulent absentee ballots. The election was not rigged. Donald Trump lost fair and square. But he will never, ever, ever shut up about it. And unfortunately, according to the latest polls, majority of Republicans still think that Donald Trump didn't actually lose that election. So as much as we would like to think that the election ended, in the minds of these individuals, it hasn't. And it never will, by the way. It never will end. Even if, let me throw this nightmare scenario at you. Even if Donald Trump came back, ran in 2024, won the presidency again, we would still have to relive the 2020 election every time this man spoke. He still wouldn't get over it. Even if somebody came up to him and said, look, the entire country agrees we're making you king for life of the United States, he would still whine and moan about losing the 2020 election. It will never go away. Now, the problem, obviously, as I mentioned, is you have a lot of Republicans, average Americans, who believe that as well. If this was just eating away at Donald Trump for the rest of his life, I'd be all for it. Like, that would be awesome, right? I would love nothing more than for this man to sit there and stew for the remainder of his days over the fact that the American public rejected him. Because it lives in his head, and it bothers him. And after the damage he inflicted upon this country, he deserves that. And if it was just limited to him, I would absolutely welcome it. Problem is, it's not. This is a widespread belief among Republicans here in the United States, and therefore it is a problem. So, as long as it continues to be a talking point, unfortunately, we're going to have to continue to debunk it because eventually it may start getting through to some of these Republicans. Some of them, I concur, are unreachable. But for those people on the fence, that's why we apparently have to keep talking about it and keep reminding them that there were investigations, there were recounts, there were poll observers, but there wasn't any fraud.